Happy New Year.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Yes,
I kind of
it
forgot
has.
how to do this.
I know. I was
just sitting there staring at you like, what do I normally say?
And I was thinking I really wanted to do a different sound, but I'm pretty sure I've done those exact sounds before. And then after doing one of them, I was like, oh, that's almost into dial-up internet territory. Mm-hmm. But then I couldn't remember the next sound, which... Those sounds were the worst.
Anyway, this is The Scrimmage. I'm Justin Damashevitz. This is Daniel Hargrove sitting across from me. And our trusty producer, Andrew Gross, is also here with us. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
It's been so long.
It has. And actually, people will notice as we go into 2-Minute Drill, a couple of these topics are slightly outdated. But there's so much stuff that's happened.
There's
that
a lot
we
of meat.
have to address.
There's a lot
Some
of
of
meat.
this stuff is from last year.
Literally.
Let's get it going then with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go. Huddle up. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation. 44 seconds. Hand the ball to the ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
Antonio Brown has been released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What?
Brown now has had an unceremonious exit from each of his four. I forgot how to do this completely. Each of the 4 teams he has played for.
What is
Daniel. Will another team take a chance on AB and sign him next season or in the future?
As long as the NFL allows Antonio Brown to play, there will be some coach crazy enough to think that it'll work. And you know what? I think it actually worked out for the Bucks.
Yeah.
They got a Super Bowl. They got him for 1 year before he went crazy, goopy crazy again.
Oh, he's not crazy. Don't say that, you'll offend him. He doesn't have mental health issues. He's been very clear on that.
Oh boy.
Doesn't that make it worse?
Yeah, I think it does. Jacksonville Jaguars rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence completed less than 60% of his passes this season while throwing 17 interceptions and had just 12 touchdowns. The first overall pick finished 28th in the league in QBR at 33.6. Justin, considering how turbulent this season was for the Jags, should we give Lawrence a pass on this poor rookie performance, even though it was so much worse than another rookie we saw play there?
That question was so much more difficult to read than the one that I did, and I botched mine almost immediately. And now all I can do is just feel bad about myself because you just got through that so easily, and I was rooting for you to stumble the whole time. Yes, we give Trevor Lawrence a pass, and I'm going to give myself a pass as well. The Cincinnati Bearcats fell to Alabama 27-6 in the Cotton Bowl, a college football playoff semifinal. Daniel, did this game prove that non-Power 5 teams don't belong in the college football playoffs? Nailed it.
Oh my gosh, totally. How could they possibly belong in there when another team like Ohio State could have been in there? Oh, wait. But then Michigan got creamed too. Oh no, everybody gets blown out in those 2-3-4-1 matchups, it seems like. Yeah, I mean, all the people were like, oh, Cincinnati really wanted to be in this. No, I bet they don't. No, get out of here. Of course not. And they deserved it more than anybody else did. Yeah, were they as good as Alabama? Apparently not. But was Michigan as good as Georgia? Apparently not. Was there another team that deserved to be in more than either of those two? No. And they both got slaughtered. So as soon as the Michigan game happened, I was like, you guys can all shut the heck up. This is absolutely ridiculous. If you only got 4 teams in, the undefeated team should obviously get a chance at it.
Plus, we just saw a worse slaughter in the NFL playoffs, and the NFL is supposed to be all about parity, so...
And that's on the wild card weekend.
Yeah.
Miami Heat forward Markief Morris has not played for more than 2 months with whiplash after taking a shoulder to the back from Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic in November. Gosh, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
It's like, so Nikola Jokic causes car accident Sorry, I'll get back to reading this. I forgot how it worked there for a second. I read, you answer, there we go. Morris has missed more than 30 games while Jokic was suspended just 1 for the cheap shot. Justin, should Jokic have been suspended longer?
I don't think so. I think, first of all, the reason this comes back up is because Markief Morris made a comment on Twitter, I believe responding to someone that noted how long he's been out, and he said, imagine having a 300-pound sloppy fat boy run full speed and make direct contact with your spine. I'll be back soon. So here's my issue with this. Markief Morris, who, by the way, he's the less cheap of the Morris twins, but those two guys have made a career out of being punks and taking cheap shots at people. And you can go back, just search on YouTube, Morris twins cheap shots, and you'll find all you need. Also, Markief Morris took a cheap shot at Jokic immediately before this happened and then turned around. So Jokic should have run around in a circle to get to the front of him before he confronted him about this cheap shot?
Probably.
My theory from the beginning on this is I don't feel bad for Markief Morris, and if you spend a career doing cheap crap, you can't get mad when someone does cheap crap to you.
I absolutely agree with that 100%.
Thank you.
Live by the cheap crap, die by the cheap crap.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think it was interesting.
You're going to get popped.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to get popped if you keep doing that stuff.
Well, and when it happened...
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. Well, I was just going to say, the Morris brothers have a big reputation for two things. One is being like these tough guys who are constantly... Like, Markief Morris has done things like purposely swing his elbows at a defender's face while he's trying to guard him, even when he's not in the cylinder. There was a time, actually, I found a video of it where there's a guy just defending him, and he just takes the ball and he smashes it into his head. It's the weirdest thing. Like, this is what these guys do. Like, they do cheap punk crap and they flop. Like, those are the two things that they're most famous for. So when Jokic ran into him, Markief Morris started flailing around on the ground, covering his face, rolling around like he was in the worst pain ever. And naturally, people just looked at it and went, oh, this is just Markief Morris doing another acting job. But turns out he's really hurt because he's missed like 2 full months.
Yeah, it's the whole boy cried wolf, right? Yeah. Like, if you flop around like a fish out of water every time somebody breathes on you, when you actually get hurt, nobody's going to believe you.
Right.
I just came up with another way to fix basketball.
Okay.
You could put boards around like hockey.
Okay.
Just that solves it.
They tried that already, and Steve Nash got all bloody. And sorry,
I don't
that
understand
basically
how
happened in a playoff series except only one team was playing by those rules, and Steve Nash, who was like league MVP dominant, was just getting like smashed into the scorers table repeatedly.
I don't understand how the boards help.
No, the boards help because it gives you something to slam people up against. They don't go flying off into the crowd. It keeps the game contained.
Okay, I think you're actually solving a problem that doesn't exist there.
No, the problem is that basketball players don't think that it's okay to hit each other.
Okay. But it's a non-contact sport.
That's
it's
the
a
problem.
contact sport.
That's the
it's
problem.
a non-collision sport.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think that's how it was described to me at one point.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's how it was a while ago. Anymore.
That's how we played in the 90s.
It's probably
Steph Curry wouldn't have been able to score in the 90s.
It's so funny.
We would have punched him in the face.
Speaking of 90s basketball, the thing I liked the most listening to the immediate reaction to this Markief Morris, Nikola Jokic thing like literally 2 months ago was
that
the NBA, whatever the NBA on TNT show is with Shaq and Charles Barkley. Yeah. So media people immediately, non-basketball players, were going, oh my gosh, what a horrible thing Nikola Jokic did. I can't believe it. That was a cheap shot, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then Shaq was like, no, you don't come over and hit me and then turn around. What do you think I'm going to do? If somebody comes and hits me, I'm throwing punches. And all three of the basketball players in that round table, because it was Shaq and Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet. And all three of them were like, yeah, no, if somebody hits me, we're throwing down.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So, but, media
problem
people
solved.
Love to clutch their pearls. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I can't believe he did that.
Exactly.
That horrible
so
foreign
violent.
man.
Exactly. And it's so funny because, I don't know. Turn the other cheek is not usually a part of their vocabulary until it's like, how dare you punch somebody in a sporting event?
Exactly.
Hockey, man. I need to watch more hockey. Can you believe that hockey is still allowed to fight in this day and age? Like, I'm a little surprised that hasn't been, like,
ESPN
shut
picked
down.
it back up. Don't hold your breath.
Oh.
It'll be, or maybe, I don't know. But yeah, when ESPN started to pick it back up this year again, I was like, ooh, I wonder if they're going to start clutching their pearls about that.
Boy, we were all excited about hockey for a minute, weren't we?
Yeah. And then it turned out that they stink.
And then it turned out that whatever the Vegas Golden Knights did is not easily repeatable.
Yeah.
Because,
I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, enough hockey talk. Boring. I did think that.
Well, I could talk an hour, by the way, about all the people about Cincinnati saying, "Oh, guess they didn't belong." It's like, get out of here. Every Power 5 school that's been blown out in the college football playoff, and you're just going to be like, "Oh, yep, this team didn't belong. They got blowed out." And it's like, we've seen blowouts every single year.
I had a little twargument with one of our friends. Oh, actually, no, it was on Facebook, wasn't it? It was a Facebook comment argument with one of our friends over this going, okay, I get it. Alabama's way better than Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati,
by the way,
offensively looked completely inept.
Yeah, and by the way, in a tournament, that was the lowest seed going against the highest seed.
Right.
So of all of the games, that one was supposed to be the most lopsided. I know that it was only 4 teams, but
I just had to go back into the record book and point out to this person that if you look back since the college football playoff was put in place, when Power 5 teams play Power 5 teams in these games, 50% are blowouts. And a lot of the blowouts are way worse than the Cincinnati-Alabama blowout because at least Cincinnati's defense did a better job of containing Alabama. Like they didn't really stop them at any point.
But they looked like they belonged on the same field to me. Like it was just that the offense couldn't
do anything.
Yeah, I think that just the way that I feel like Alabama just overpowered them because they just ran the ball pretty much at will, but they weren't getting like huge explosive plays. It was more like long grinding drives for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Andrew pointed out, it didn't look like Cincinnati's defense didn't belong on the field with Alabama. It was just that Cincinnati's offense was so bad.
Yeah.
So completely inept. And after the first drive, just couldn't do anything. But I just feel like this isn't an argument to not have Power 5 teams in. And then the other thing is people were going, this is an argument to not expand the field because obviously the top 2 teams, no one else can compete with them. But if that's the case, wouldn't you think that, like, even if that is true, the 1 and 2 team are clearly the best, no one can compete with them. Wouldn't you get better football from 3 to 8 or 3 to 12 or 3 to 16 or whatever you expand to? Like, at least then in some of these earlier rounds we'll get, in theory, we'd get better football games.
What?
Because the teams would be more on an even level and not just Alabama and Georgia a tier higher than everybody
This is
else.
the fundamental problem that I have with the type of college fan who makes the arguments that it makes the regular season mean less. They don't care about the games. They actually don't care about the games. It's all about their rankings. It's no longer about football. It's mind-blowing to me. You play the game to see who is better.
Yeah.
You don't look at the NFL. Every week people are like, "Oh, this team's better. This team's worse." And then what happens on Sunday? Any given Sunday, any team can beat another one. Even Jacksonville can get a win.
Yeah.
And college football, the way the people who like the status quo of college football are basically saying, no, we want to just go with the power rankings.
Yep.
Like, why would we play the games? We go, like, they don't deserve to be there. No, what are you talking about? Every team deserves to end their season with a loss to a team that's better than them.
And the other thing with
Like,
that
that
argument,
is a good thing.
Yeah.
You want to go as far as you can and lose to a team that's the national champion.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about that argument of it making games more meaningful is that it makes every game more meaningful for like 6 teams.
Yeah.
But then you have
yeah.
100
Exactly.
plus other teams out there where just like none of the games matter. Like
Yeah.
you've just devalued all of the rest of
Yeah.
all these games that are happening across the
Well,
nation.
and before Cincinnati this year, all non-power conference teams, none of their games mattered.
Yep.
Not when they were undefeated, not anything. Before this year, none of their games mattered.
Yeah.
Right.
To start the year.
Yeah.
So
according
don't give me
according
that-
to that argument
Yeah.
of meaningful games.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If you had an expanded playoffs where more teams were able to get in, I bet those teams would be able to recruit better.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, which
right
is-
now, if you want to win a national championship, you've got like 3 teams.
Which is-
4?
which is-
But now Clemson's not good anymore. Maybe that's over. So maybe it is just Alabama and then rando SEC team that can pop up once every now and then. But I mean, if you have all of a sudden a 8-team playoff or a 16-team playoff, the recruiting gets so much easier. Like, hey, we get in the playoffs, we get a good class, anything can happen. Come, let's do that. Like, I know you want to win a national championship, and we actually have the possibility to do that here instead of, well, that's the most important thing to you. Well, go sit the bench for Alabama for 3 years, and then you can win a national championship.
You'll get a few rings.
You'll get a few rings.
On the bench.
You'll be on the bench. Then you'll play your 4th year. You'll probably win another national championship, and then you can go to the NFL because you're really good. But if you come here, you know that's the thing. Like, it drives
There
me
is
nuts.
another team in the ACC that's going for Clemson's crown of perennial college football playoff contender.
and that is
North Carolina.
Duke.
Duke?
Every
Is that
week,
Duke?
I think it's Duke.
every week there's a news
Just
story about a 5-star recruit that's committed to the University of North Carolina. 9th
Basketball?
ranked. No, football.
Oh,
they're a
okay.
football school now. 9th ranked recruiting class in the entire nation going into next season.
They're a football school.
And a
Did
basketball
you watch
school.
this year?
They're a football and a basketball
This
school.
year was so miserable.
Well, there was some stuff that it's political. Some stuff that happened.
The losses were political.
Well, what happens is sometimes the other team scores more points than you, but you still deserve the win. But because of politics, you can't win the game because the other team scored more points. Politics.
Yeah, that
Politics.
sounds like college football.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually,
What I've
yeah,
learned
that
about
checks out.
politics, though, is politics is mainly just stuff that someone makes up. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to blame it for everything and make stuff up and say it's politics.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Political.
That's why the Beavers keep losing basketball games.
Exactly.
Totally political.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like,
Bob Knight politics.
you know,
blah, blah, blah.
leading top 5 teams and then all of a sudden lose at the end.
Because of politics.
Politics. Yeah. God. Politics
Thanks, Obama.
ruins everything.
Yes.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up Gardner Minshew's name once during the Jacksonville one. Like, what the heck?
I got so lost in the fact that I actually planned on mentioning him. I just got so lost in how badly I failed at asking my question. And then I gave you a much longer, more difficult question. And you not only did it, but you added stuff to it while you were saying it. And you didn't stumble at all.
Well, see, reading is kind of what I do on a daily basis. So I haven't.
Whereas Justin doesn't know what book is.
Yeah, you don't know what a book is. But no, reading out loud is what I do for work.
Yeah.
So really, the fact that you're usually so good at it for doing it once a week, and I stumble at it as much as I do when I do it every day.
But you usually only stumble when I trip you up on purpose.
That's true.
I try to intentionally put things in your questions that will make you stumble, and I failed in not only asking my question, but then in also getting you to fail at asking that question. And I was just so discouraged by the end of it, I couldn't even remember what I was going to say.
Well, what were you going to say?
Trevor Lawrence,
Is bad?
blah, blah, blah. Gardner Minshew was better. Jaguars fans should regret it.
There we go.
Can't
Okay.
remember.
Speaking of getting
guys, the Eagles just lost to the Buccaneers 15-31, and Jalen Hurts had a 60 rating,
Yikes.
RTG rating, right? Yeah.
Yep.
He was 23 for 43.
Ugh.
And I'd just like to point out that Gardner Minshew has only played in 4 games, but he has 41 completions on 60 attempts. and he's not starting.
What is it about him?
Eagles for some reason.
So is it something about like his personality
I
that
think he
people like
threatens
view
people.
him? People view him as like a caricature, and so
That might
then people don't take him seriously. Because if you just look at what he did on the field,
Seriously.
how could anybody make an argument that he doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Because of politics.
Politics.
We're back to politics.
Thanks,
And
Obama.
He does not. I think that his his over the top personality might work against him some, but I think more of it is just that it's similar to the Russell Wilson being overlooked thing, like because of his height. He's got everything but height. Gardner Minshew has everything above the neck, but he does not have the athletic pop that.
Does he have everything below the waist?
Oh, gosh darn it. I knew you were going there, Justin. No, he doesn't have the rocket arm.
He doesn't have the rocket arm.
That's it. He just doesn't have the rocket arm.
And he's not huge and strong. Like, you can get away with not having a
but
rocket arm if you're a running back.
Drew Brees didn't have the rocket arm, did he?
No, he was just
And
incredibly
he wasn't
accurate.
huge. Yeah, so that's
But
the thing.
but
so there's people
this
when they're given the
right
chance
now-
can succeed
Yes,
like that.
I agree.
And I think that honestly, I think Minshew could do that. But the problem is everybody is so tunnel visioned in the NFL that they can't get out of their own silly little heads about how something works. Like, I don't know, maybe a big doofy bruising quarterback of a guy who just straight up wins at the end of games. No way to tell how, but in a good defense. And they actually go into the playoffs, even though they were I don't know, 0-4 to start the season.
Could he be talking
Who
about,
could I
Justin?
be talking about? I don't know. Maybe he's undefeated in the... No, he's not
Does
undefeated
he
in the
rhyme?
playoffs.
Does it rhyme with...
Schmim Hebo? Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, people get so tunnel vision. It's like, oh, yeah, that worked really well this year. Should we do it again? No, that's hilarious.
I think the thing with Tebow was just the only NFL player in history who was able to accurately and correctly harness the power of the Holy Spirit.
Politics and religion.
Yeah.
Well, at least for his whole starting quarterback career.
Right.
Because it seemed for a while that Russell Wilson had done the same, but I don't know what happened. But
Sierra
just ruined everything.
Thanks, Obama. You want to move on?
Oh, yes, we need to move on.
Free Minshew.
It's time for Justin's favorite part of the show.
Ooh.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel. One of my things I missed the most about our little break is the noises that Andrew makes while he's trying to get to the button.
You guys are struggling with the reading, and I'm a little bit rusty back here.
But no, that was perfect.
That was like my favorite noise that he's ever made, too.
So usually it's like, ah!
Oh.
Okay, Daniel, today we are doing sports
Ooh.
movie trivia.
Uh-oh. While I've watched a lot of sports movies,
Yeah.
I feel like there's also some that people feel like are like 100% classics that I haven't seen.
Okay.
So I'm a little worried.
I am going to make up a scoring system as we go here
Sweet.
because we can't just do it normally. I've been feeling like I've been way too lazy on my scoring systems lately. We're going to do this in a very convoluted way.
Okay.
You've been too lazy in the scoring system, so you decided not to think about it ahead of time.
I'm going to make it up as we go. I'm winging it.
So
I have 10 questions.
is it gonna be based on like what nation I ended up in? Like Earth Nation, Water Nation,
Yeah.
Air Nation, Fire Nation?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know if I even ranked
Well,
those.
which
how I
one would you
wanted to be.
want to be in?
Water
most?
Nation is the Beaver Nation, right?
Wait. Oh. Or would it be Earth Nation? I don't know. See, I shouldn't have brought that up because I don't know what nation I'd want to be.
Well,
there
the
a wood
air,
nation?
The air nomads were wiped out.
Yeah.
So they would be the bottom rung. Like they were almost basically extinct for 100 years.
I think
I don't know what we're talking about.
I think as long as they're not trying to take over the world, Fire Nation looked pretty cool.
Yeah, Fire Nation's strong.
Yeah.
I'd go fire, and then
And-
Earth would be the next strongest. Because water always felt kind of weak to me because it's just North and South Pole, and it was just like
Yeah.
one small village and then one huge city.
Yeah.
Whereas Earth Nation was like tons of land and tons of people.
Yeah, but they were also the most corrupt.
More corrupt than the Fire Nation?
I guess the Fire Nation was outwardly evil, but it seemed like the Earth Nation, even in like Legend of Korra,
right,
massive amounts of corruption.
True.
And everybody was just like browbeaten into like everything's fine.
Well, in the original,
and yet there was like horrifying stuff.
The Last Airbender series, like one of the main leaders of the Northern Water Tribe was a sexist. So
that's true.
I mean, I don't know. We got stuff going on in all of them.
Yeah, it turns out that was one of the things that show did well is everybody has flaws.
Politics.
Yeah, politics.
So we'll go fire.
Your shirt brought it back up.
Fire on top. Earth would be second. Water would be third, and the extinct air nomads would be last.
Okay.
Fourth. Okay. So I have 10 questions. If you can answer the question without multiple choice,
okay,
you get 10 points.
That's a lot of points.
If you say, I don't know, I want to take the multiple choice,
okay,
I'll read you the 4 options, but you lose 2 points. So you can only get 8 points then for that question.
Okay. So it's only a 2-point penalty.
A 2-point penalty for getting the multiple choice.
Okay.
Then your next option is every single question, you have a 50-50 if you want it. And I'll take 2 of the options off, but you lose 2 more points.
Okay.
So then you only have 6 possible points for getting the question right.
I had to get a pen because I gotta take notes on this. How does this work?
Okay. So then the
okay,
other.
so it's 10.
You answer questions. He has to figure out
and
how
then
it
it's
works.
8, and then it's 6 points.
Okay, then you also have the option. You have a text a friend option. I'm going to give you 2 text a friend lifelines, okay?
Whoa.
You can text anyone you want, and the way it works is we will then push that question down to the end. So you have whatever amount of time it takes for that person can respond in the amount of time before the segment's over.
Okay.
But once the segment's over, then you still have to answer the question and you don't get the help.
Okay, does that drop it down to 4 points if
No.
I use text? Oh, okay.
Nope. So if you get the question right,
Is the friend allowed to lie to him?
sure.
Daniel won't be texting me.
Okay,
And how many text friends do I get? Just
you
one?
get 2.
2?
2 text a friends.
Hopefully those questions come
But
up
the
early in the
only
segment.
thing you're allowed to text them is the question. So you can't. And hopefully, because you can't be like, hey, Google this, and then text the question. You can only text the question. And then hopefully for you, they'll just be like, oh, I should Google that. And then they'll just answer it for you correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
First question.
All right.
In Remember the Titans,
Yes.
what position did Julius Campbell play?
Julius Campbell played defensive end.
That is correct.
Yes.
10 points. Julius Campbell was a defensive end. The next question.
I thought, I started to worry about scheme there. Was he actually an outside linebacker in a 3-4? I don't know.
I don't think they had 3-4 schemes back then. What is the name of the outer space amusement park that tries to kidnap the Looney Tunes in Space Jam? Not the name of the aliens, but the amusement park that they tried to take them to.
Uh-oh. I'm going to need to go multiple choice on this one.
Multiple choice?
Yes.
Is it A, Monstar Park, B, Disney Quest, C, Moron Mountain, or D, Space Fun Zone?
Did you just make those up on the spot?
No, I have them all.
Oh,
I have
okay.
them typed out.
Because I was going to be super impressed with A, that you made them up on the spot, and B, that you were looking down to fake read them at the same time.
Yeah, no, I'm not that impressive.
Moron Mountain.
It is Moron Mountain. 8 points for Daniel out of a possible 20. This is a good start for you. It's a really good start.
I'm good with it.
What is Rudy's first name in the movie Rudy? What is Rudy's first name in the movie Rudy?
You mean besides Rudy? Uh-oh.
Is Rudy his first name, or is it a nickname?
Well, it's a nickname for Rudiger.
Mm-hmm.
Crap, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Was that his last name?
Rudiger was his last name.
I thought his name was Sean Astin.
Yeah.
I am so embarrassed. I have no clue, so I'm going to go multiple choice.
Okay, here's your multiple choice. A, is his first name Rudy? B, Daniel? C, Justin?
Wouldn't that just be terrible?
Or D, Andrew? Is it A, Rudy, B, Daniel, C, Justin, or D, Andrew?
Is this a trick question? I feel like this is a trick question.
The best part of it is I've done so many trick questions that when there's a question that seems like I'm being psychological with you, you think, well, Justin wants me to pick this, so that's probably the answer. But then you doubt yourself, and you clearly can't choose the wine in front of you.
I'm going to go with Rudy. And his name was Rudy Rudiger.
I'm sorry, that's not correct. His name was Daniel Rudiger.
Was it really?
His name was...
No!
0 points on that one. Sorry, Daniel.
How did you not know? I mean, I didn't know, but I've only seen that movie once. And it's not my name.
I thought it would be funny to put all of our names in. Because
That's
then
what
I
threw
thought
me.
you would think, because I've done this before with Colt McCoy,
Oh.
where Colt McCoy's actual name was Daniel, right?
Yes.
So then I thought you'd think, oh, I bet it's Daniel. But then when I put my name and Andrew's name in, that would make you be like, is that what he wants me to think?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Brilliant.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
That was brilliant. Good job,
What?
Justin.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh.
Question number 4. What sport does Michael J. Fox begin to excel at when he transforms into a werewolf in Teen Wolf?
Basketball.
Basketball, correct. 10 points for Daniel. You got 28 points so far in 4 questions. Next question. What kind of dog is Buddy from the movie Air Bud?
Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever is correct. 10 more points for Daniel. What is the name of the female lifeguard in the movie Sandlot?
As soon as you said female lifeguard, I knew you were going Sandlot. I know this. But you know what's really frustrating is I'm mixing up another name in a kids sports movie. And that's the only that's the only movie line I can think of right now, but I know that's not the right. Come on. They had like 12 kids.
How long does he have to answer before he has to bump to it?
I'm gonna
Whatever amount of time
I'm
our
gonna
producer wants
text.
to. Okay, you're gonna text a friend?
Who's gonna answer that quick?
We have 5 more questions.
I'm gonna
after
text
this.
a friend.
Okay.
I'm gonna text Ian.
Okay. Oh, we have 4 more questions after this. So hopefully Ian responds in the amount of time it takes 4 more questions.
What was the name of the lifeguard in Sandlot?
Yes.
Okay.
The female lifeguard? Was there more than one lifeguard?
I don't think so, but I threw female in there just in case there was one I wasn't remembering.
Gotcha.
All right. Text is sent.
Okay. Next question. In the Sandlot, the kids are scared of a local mastiff dog they call the Beast.
Yes.
What is the dog's name in the movie?
Hercules.
Hercules is correct. Yes. 10 more points for Daniel. Assuming Ian comes through for you, you're doing pretty well. The only one you've gotten wrong so far is your own name.
In one of his favorite movies.
Yeah.
According to the movie Angels in the Outfield,
Yes.
I've seen that one.
When will Angels not help a team?
Championship game.
When championship is on the line. Very good. 10 points. Wait, you are really rolling through this.
Dang it, I need to take more time.
That actually explains Tim Tebow's loss to the Patriots.
That wasn't technically a championship.
Wasn't it
game.
the
Oh no, Ian's calling me. Can I take a call?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this is
All right,
Ian's opportunity.
Ian, I'm asking you because I had a text a friend option on Stump Daniel.
Wendy Peppercorn.
Wendy Peppercorn.
Wendy Peppercorn is correct.
Yes.
10 points. Daniel Hargrove with the assist from our friend Ian Cope.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
I'm kind of embarrassed that I needed to ask, but I knew I knew that you would have the answer for me.
As well you should be. How many kids did she and Squint have?
I guessed 12, but it was at 10?
It was 10 kids.
10 kids. Okay. I knew it was a lot. All right, thanks, man.
Ian Cope coming up clutch with Wendy Peppercorn. 2 more
I
questions,
knew
Daniel.
he would know. I knew it.
In 8
Peppercorn.
questions so far,
Is that an Italian last name?
you have 68 points.
That's a lot of points.
Doing pretty good. Who scores the game-winning shot in the game against the Monstars in Space Jam? The game-winning shot.
I'm going to need multiple choice.
Okay, here's your multiple choice. Is it A, Bugs Bunny, B, Michael Jordan, C, Bill Murray, or D, Lola Bunny? You can, if you want to dock 2 more points, I can give you the 50-50.
I'm going to need the 50-50.
Okay, is it
It's like you don't even remember how the game went.
Michael Jordan or Bill Murray? 6 points if you get it right.
Wait, Bill.
Andrew's confused. He hasn't seen the movie, and so he's
Oh,
like, wait a
no,
second.
it's the Bill Murray you're thinking of.
Okay.
I know Bill Murray comes at the end. He's super excited.
Yep, he comes in the 4th quarter to help him out. And he
I'm-
plays well.
We're going to go with Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is correct. You got 6 more points there, Daniel.
That's
You are
because he's
at
got the killer instinct.
74 points. It's
Was that the stretchy
it's the
arm shot?
stretchy
Yeah,
shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I couldn't remember if that was the last shot. And then I was like, that has to be the last shot because it was very like climactic of the movie. Okay.
Okay,
I shouldn't have
76 points.
I shouldn't have needed that, but I did.
If you get at least 8 points on this,
Okay.
you will be in the Fire Nation. Top level.
Okay.
Anything less than 8 points, you're going to end up in the Earth Kingdom. In The Little Giants, young Becky O'Shea loves football.
Gosh, I haven't watched that movie in
What
so long.
is her gridiron nickname?
Yes. Wait, that is the name of the main character, right?
Yeah. Well, see, and here's the thing. You can still end up in the Fire Nation if you listen to your multiple choice. So you can take those. You can just throw your guess out there, maximize your points.
Oh, really? I can guess and then take multiple choice?
No, I'm saying you can
Oh.
you can maximize your points by getting it right. But if you're not sure, you can listen to the multiple choice, and if you then get it right, you'll still be in the Fire Nation zone.
I don't need it. It's Icebox.
It is Icebox. 10
Yes.
more points for Daniel. Firmly in the Fire Nation.
Yes.
Congratulations, Daniel. Very successful Stump Daniel session for you.
I'm very excited that I was familiar with all of those movies except for Teen Wolf, but I knew that Teen Wolf played basketball. So
Jewel says, "Congratulations, Fire Nation."
I knew that I'm very grateful that my sister is watching and that we have gone Avatar with those scorings.
Yeah. It's actually been, when I think back to
Like that was a pretty non-Stump Daniel. Stump Daniel.
well, but it's been a while. Like there haven't been any like really demoralizing Stump Daniels in a long time.
Other than he did miss the most embarrassing possible question.
Yeah, that was
pretty awesome.
We had some ones where you
That
didn't get
was
the
pretty
questions
brutal.
right, but never ones where you were like, "Oh, I should have known that."
Well,
and I
like-
think that's the difference.
like
is
Rudy has been one of my all-time favorite movies for a long time.
how
And the
much
fact that his name is actually Daniel,
He's never occurred to
I've
him.
that has never lodged up there.
I almost put this one in
That's-
there. Do you remember straight out of high school what college Rudy went to?
Oh, okay. The junior college or whatever that he had to go to.
Right, because he didn't qualify academically for Notre Dame. I almost put this one in there, but I thought it was too hard.
Isn't it something like Holy Cross?
It is Holy Cross. Wow.
Why couldn't I remember his name?
Holy cow, holy cross. How much more would you have loved that movie if instead of him having a nickname, at the end they were just chanting, Daniel, Daniel, Daniel?
I mean, I don't know if I could love that movie more because, like, it makes me weep every time I watch it.
How about the fact that it's not a real story?
You know what?
According to Joe Montana.
I saw the picture. They carried him off. That was a real picture.
But Joe Montana.
Shut up, Joe Montana.
Said that
I know what it is. Tom Brady now has more Super Bowls than me, so I'm going to go poop on this guy who literally did nothing with his life, despite make some fabrications in a little book and then have a great football movie. But no, Joe Montana's got to go poop on that guy. Get out of here, Joe. What did Joe Montana say?
I heard a follow-up interview. So this came up a while, like it was quite a while ago, at least a few years ago, where Joe Montana, who was on the team at the time, said, the story gets kind of overblown, and he did get carried off the field, but it was just by a few people, and it was like more of a joke than like they were actually holding him up as some kind of a heroic figure.
Yeah.
And then I think he felt kind of bad about it afterwards because he didn't back off of his words, but he almost kind of said later that he wished he hadn't said that. But
because you realize that you're Joe freaking Montana.
But he just got kind of worn out by the story, and apparently, like, the actual Daniel Rudiger is not a super likable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they kind of showed that in the movie because the dude didn't have an off switch.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you practicing? And maybe I'm taking that into it. But I don't know about you guys. Have you ever practiced too hard and someone got upset at you for it? Because I have.
Yes.
Because I have.
Yeah.
People are jerks sometimes.
That's true, definitely.
And yes, you aren't the most likable person because you stole the ball away from the starting point guard in a practice when you're a freshman on JV.
It's like the guy in Blue Mountain State.
I thought we were practicing like we played.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
Like that guy in Blue Mountain State that comes in and keeps comparing himself to Rudy and hitting people after the plays are over and stuff like that.
There's a difference.
Yeah. No, it's the same thing.
You don't go after the play.
It's just politics.
No, I remember
Thanks.
Hutton Napier went to that state all-star game and like went really hard on a defensive line drill or something, and people got mad at him. I'm like, yep, that's what people are like.
Yeah.
I'd cut a dude. I don't mean with a knife. I mean like from the team.
Oh,
get out of here.
Like
you're really talented, but you don't want to work hard. Go watch the game.
And then once they're out of the stadium and off the property, then you cut them with a knife.
Whoa. No.
Is that what you were talking about with all the Seahawks tight ends over the years?
Yes. Literally cutting them.
Every time we want little behind the curtain, every time we're watching a Seahawks game, we have a message thread going, and every time a Seahawks tight end does something bad, Justin goes, cut him.
Or even just doesn't get the ball.
The funny thing is, when I first did it, it was not. Now it's like a running joke.
Yeah.
It was not a joke when it was first
Who
happening.
was it that you hated?
There was like 3 tight ends I cut in 1 year.
Yeah. Was Disley one of them?
Disley, Wilson, who else was on that?
Luke Wilson is a national treasure.
Okay. He's not even a local treasure. Come on.
No, he's a national treasure. I love that guy.
Well, yeah, because you're right. He's a national treasure because Canada doesn't have any treasures.
It's just politics.
Fair point.
I think, is it time for another commercial break?
Yeah.
Another?
That's
I mean,
just
our first?
It's our first one in over a month.
We didn't make a sound.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Thank you to our sponsors, the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz and Only Pen Real Estate. It's been a while, man.
It's been a while, yeah, since you had to do a sponsor read. Yeah.
Yeah. Or,
Remember. A sponsor, remember.
yeah, sponsor. Also, like, seriously, when was our last show? Was early December?
Yeah.
The first or second week?
It was like
And
December
then
5th or something.
a series of unfortunate events since then.
Yeah.
We took a break because it's super busy time for you guys with your work. Christmas time is crazy. Then the week after, or the Sunday after Christmas, we were doing baby dedication for my son, and we had a bunch of family in town, and so we were like, all right, probably not going to have too much time to do a show.
So, and my family was also sick that day.
Right.
So we watched the baby dedication on our TV on the live stream because we didn't want to come to the church and be around people and get everyone else sick. So
we appreciate it.
Yeah.
But then my whole family got sick anyway.
Yeah. Wasn't me though.
Nope, wasn't you.
Wasn't me.
Yeah. And then Andrew
Y'all
was
wouldn't
like,
even visit in the snow.
I know. None of us felt like leaving the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I really wanted to go and visit, but that was right before I got sick, and so I probably actually was sick, just didn't know it yet, so it was probably wise that I didn't go up there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then that wiped us out for what, another 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing is that wasn't the only thing that was getting wiped out, because the weather also went bonkers and started wiping out high school games left and right. So I had 4 basketball game broadcasts that all got canceled like during that period of time.
Yeah. Actually, there was a little, during that stretch, it didn't even really matter that we didn't have a show because there was no high school sports for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It was crazy.
Everything pretty much got canceled by either the snow or then the flooding. Following that.
And the ice.
Yeah,
I remember because on my last basketball broadcast, I was like, it was snow, then it was ice, then it was flooding.
Yep. But now we're back in the full swing of high school sports.
Yes.
Which leads us right into our next segment, which is the Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
Yes, and we have some good candidates here in this one, and it was a tough decision. And because it was a tough decision, I decided to go a little off the board, but we have done this before one time. So the Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week is all of the weight class winners from the Aberdeen girls wrestling team in the tournament that they just went to, the Lads and Lasses tournament on Saturday at Fife High School. Now they had 6 first place finishers at this tournament at Fife. And I was like, wow, that seems like kind of a big tournament. And seeing that the second place team was from Lincoln, which I believe is a 4A school. So this tournament sounds like it's kind of the real deal. And Aberdeen's girls wrestling team had 6 first place finishers.
Pretty crazy.
So they are our Ole Penn Athletes of the Week, and they are, hopefully I get all these names right, Madeline Machowick, Emerson Yakovich, Haley Wilson, Felicia Bell, Reagan Portman, and Katie Gakin. They are our Ole Penn Real Estate Athletes of the Week. They led their Aberdeen team to a total of 189.5 points, easily beating second place Lincoln, which finished with 118 points. That's straight dominant to go to a tournament like that, an invitational tournament like that with multiple different sizes of schools, and then run away with the first point. So I'm assuming that there are some other Aberdeen girls who maybe didn't finish first that contributed to that. I don't have their names here at the moment, but I'm sure that they did a good job contributing points. I'm not exactly sure how wrestling points works. You used to be a sports writer.
Yeah.
Did you remember how the points work?
Something about winning and points. It's just politics.
You score points.
It's just
Wrestling.
politics.
Anyway, congratulations again to Madeline Machowick, Emerson Yakovich, Haley Wilson, Felicia Bell, Reagan Portman, and Katie Gakin. You are Ole Penn Real Estate Athletes of the Week.
The first ones of the year.
Yeah. First ones of 2022.
Congratulations.
Let's get the local sports roundup going. My segues are terrible. Anyway, Elma defeated Hoquiam 47-44 in boys basketball on Friday night in Elma. Traden Carter and Cannon Seaberg led the Eagles with 10 points apiece, while Michael Lorton Watkins scored a game-high 15 points for the Grizzlies. Elma shot 17 of 22 from the free throw line, including 8 for 8 by Carter and Seaberg in the fourth quarter.
Hoquiam traveled to North Beach and took down the Hyaks 72-57 on Saturday. And now I know North Beach is a lower class team, but they have some super tall kids on their team. They have a kid that's a 6'9" senior on their team, so not an easy task to go and take down the Hyaks. Justice Stankovic led the Grizzlies with 23 points, and North Beach was led by Josh Bighead, who scored a game-high 26 points.
Raymond improved to 7-2 on the season with a 63-52 win over Nacelle on Saturday. Last week's Only Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week, Trey Seidel, scored 20 points for the Seagulls while pulling down 18 boards and dishing out 5 assists. On Tuesday, Raymond annihilated South Bend. Haven't seen a score like this I'm not sure if I've ever seen a score like this. They took down South Bend 104-33. Whew.
Ow.
That's a lot.
Leading scorers from the Seagulls were Morgan Anderson with 31, Seidel with 29, and Adrian Quintana with 28.
Moving on to girls basketball, Montesano remained undefeated in Evergreen League play and improved to 10-1 overall with a 56-16 drubbing of Hoquiam on Saturday. Paige Leishness led the way for Montesano with 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 steals. One day earlier, Michaela Stanfield led the way for the Bulldogs with 14 points and 6 rebounds in a 60-22 win over Eatonville. It's worth noting that both of those games for the Bulldogs were played without one of their best players, McKinley Dalen, out with COVID protocols.
Yeah, and they had just taken down Elma like 53-11 a couple days before that.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Kira Gardner. Kira, not Kyra. I've called her Kyra for years.
I've been saying it right.
Yes, you have. Kira Gardner stuffed the stat sheet yet again with 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals to propel Raymond to a 55-44 win over Winlock on Friday. Carson Freeman, the freshman, added 12 points for the Seagulls, who improved their record to 7-1 with the win.
They hadn't played for a while, too. I think it was like 27 days or something from their last game for a variety of reasons. Elma defeated Hoquiam, staying in girls basketball here, 26-25 in a defensive battle on Thursday. The Eagles surged in the fourth quarter despite trailing 22-12 after 3 frames.
Wow.
Aubrey Moore led Elma with 6 points. Jackie DeMoss and Emmy Spencer added 5 points apiece. Charlie Sampson Eastman led Hoquiam with 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 steals.
And we already mentioned that girls wrestling tournament that Aberdeen came away with the win. Another note from that tournament, though, Hoquiam's Emma Johnson led the Grizzlies to sixth place with a second place finish in the 130 weight class. That is going to do it for our local sports roundup. A nice long one.
Yeah.
I feel like we got a lot of good stuff in there. And you mentioned that Raymond hadn't played in like 27 days.
I can't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere around there.
That wouldn't surprise me because the flooding was really bad down there too. Yeah. And the Monty Elma game that I covered this last week on Tuesday, I believe that was the first time they'd played in forever too, because of all of those weather issues. Like it was before Christmas, I think, was the last time those teams had played. Just ridiculous.
It's got to be tough. I mean, because even during that time, they mostly couldn't practice either.
Mm-hmm.
So no practices, no games for almost a month, and then just jumping right back into action has got to be hard.
Yeah.
Well, not for them apparently.
Yeah, apparently the Monty girls.
Not for Kira Gardner.
Yeah, Kira Gardner and the Monty girls basketball team, no big deal. It's like, good grief. Seriously, the game that I covered, McKinley Dalen had gotten into early foul trouble in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And so she didn't have any points in the first quarter. But then they were blowing out Elma by so much in the second quarter that they didn't really play her in the second quarter either. So she was one of 2 players in the second half who had yet to score for Monty. Mm-hmm. And then she scored like 6 points in the third quarter. And they were like, oh, okay, now we can take, you out. And Monty, that was the craziest thing. Monty only had 1 player that didn't score. And I've never seen that in any game where all players have scored. So I was
because usually varsity teams have a couple of swing players that are mostly playing JV and then just come in and kind of play that garbage time. And a lot of them aren't really scorers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty unusual.
Yeah, and they had all scored by I think the third quarter.
Yeah. And
that one who didn't score had opportunities late in the game, but didn't shoot. Because working the clock out, because they're all early possession. And so I was very proud and very disappointed at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see that player score really bad, but Sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Ah,
I don't have any time to waste on sportsmanship. What's that about?
it's just politics.
It's politics. Thanks, Obama.
All right, so the saga continues, right? We've got the Seattle Seahawks, and they didn't make the playoffs, but they did win a couple games at the end of the season just to make everybody in the organization think everything is actually
We
okay.
figured it out.
Yeah. Look, guys.
We don't have a systemic problem.
We're actually really good. We just beat Arizona, who's been on an absolute tailspin the last month. But, we beat them, and they're going to the playoffs. So that must mean that we just had some injury
Transitive
problems.
properties.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
college football, we'd be highly ranked.
Yeah, I mean, in the power rankings, they'd be right up there. Better than, all the teams that Arizona beat. No, but that's kind of what I'm worried about. And the subject line just said Seahawks, Russ, Pete Carroll. So that's where my first thought went to. But there has been new, very expected drama, I guess, that has popped up today, which is Russ wants to explore his options.
He hasn't asked for a trade, but he's interested in exploring what other teams may be able to put him in a better position to win.
Yeah, but also that requires them trading for you. So what options are you exploring? How do you, isn't that tampering? You can't just explore your options.
Well, I assume the team explores on his behalf.
Well, the team would. Yeah, exactly.
He could
Russ
say,
can't explore his options. He's not a free agent.
Right. Russ could say, hey,
He can't
here's a
make
list
the
of
trade.
teams I'd be willing for you to trade me to because these are the scenarios I think that I can go win. And then the team could then pursue
What
I
they
would-
could get from
with
those
those
I
people.
would think that Russ exploring the options would be Russ looking at film, looking at rosters, talking to people that he knows, like players, like, hey, how do you feel about this team here that you're on or whatever, and then eventually that would be the exploring part, and then if he felt like, if I go to the Bears, I think that I can be put in a position to win better.
The Bears.
The Bears was on that list, wasn't it?
Yeah. I
think so.
Yeah.
That just shows me that-
whatever
Yeah.
team, maybe these two teams, I feel I trust their plan, what appears to be their plan to win.
Just the
better
fact
than I
that
trust Pete Carroll's plan.
Just
to
the
win.
fact that the Bears were on that list makes me think that Russ has no judge, zero ability to make that decision. Are you kidding me? The Bears, who have been god-awful for how long now? And you trust their plan? What?
Do you want me
Yeah,
to
but
read
I
the...
doubt that came from Russ himself, and also I still think that the massive, the biggest reason that this is a thing, that things are leaked, that any conversation here happens, is because Russ and Russ's agent and his whole, Russ's party, they want to make sure that Russ is at the top of the headlines even during the playoffs.
So before we go
And
any
he is,
further,
it's
let
working.
me read the reports that we're actually talking about. So one thing came from Chris Mortensen. I think this was the first thing that I saw. And he said, this was on Twitter, yes, Seahawks coach Pete Carroll, GM John Schneider met Thursday with owner Jody Allen, but a well-placed source said it was usual end-of-season review, a look ahead, and no job security talk. All systems are go with Carroll, Schneider, and QB Russell Wilson, sources said. Mortensen went on to say, Wilson has 2 years left on his contract. He's expressed desire to finish in Seattle. He has a no-trade clause, but of course, his name will be in play for everyone to discuss because that's the new frontier. There was another tweet from
Real
Michael.
or not?
Right.
That's was the end of what he said.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. I must have cut it off.
That's
with
the
my
new frontier,
screenshot.
real or not.
This one came from Michael Silver. It says, there's a sense among coaches and others in the Seahawks organization there will be no major shakeups, that head coach Pete Carroll or GM John Schneider are in, and that head coach Pete Carroll and GM John Schneider are in business as usual mode. Absent a statement to the contrary from owner Jody Allen, I expect both to be back. So it seems like the reports from insiders are coming back. Okay, there's nothing on the horizon for Schneider or Carroll. They're going to be there.
Which was predictable.
I thought there's a couple things that were interesting on these to me. One is that Quandre Diggs retweeted one of the Mortensen tweets and said, as it should be, talking about business as usual. People crazy thinking you get rid of any of those three, it'll make the organization better. So Quandre Diggs clearly putting his name on getting rid of Pete, John, or Russ is not going to make us better. He's just a player. So, I mean, I don't know. Then the thing that came out today...
Although I really like Quandre.
Which I think...
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree, Daniel? Because I agree with that. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to... I do not want to see business as usual. Like, I would like to see Pete Carroll making changes in the way he does business. I don't expect to see that, but I would like to. That does not mean I want to see Pete fired. It means I'd like him to stop being involved in offensive play calling. I'd like him to consider taking over coordinating the defense full time and a few other things.
I think the other thing that's been hard to measure here, and in just a second I'll talk about what the report was that came out today. The other thing that's been hard to measure is while the season was going on in the last couple weeks, there was a bunch of quote-unquote insiders, which I have all kinds of opinions about, insider opinions, especially with everything that's happened lately with Adam Schefter and his credibility being called into question for some things that have happened. But
The Antonio Brown stuff, maybe.
the Antonio Brown stuff, the stuff with, allowing the Washington football team president to edit his copy before he posts it.
Oh, no.
There's stuff that's happened
didn't know that?
now.
No, I've
that
been
has
kind of in a box lately.
Stuff that's happened now that's come out that I think a lot of us who are... I look at media in a different way, I think, than most people do, and I'm sure you do as well, Daniel. I think we probably all do, at least on some level.
Yeah.
And you know that, like, the insiders are getting the information from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So they have sources that have agendas.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always read every insider statement with that in mind. What's the agenda of the source that this came from? But now it's coming to light where people can no longer be in denial of that in their minds. Like, people know these insiders get information, and sometimes they are used as plants to put stuff out.
Yep.
So one of the reports
That's actually something that you've taught me more about. Because I guess I haven't used too many sources like that too often, but some of the situations that we've gone through together was you were like, remember, these people have their own agenda. And so that was something I feel like I learned more from you in how to read these stories, even over the last 3 years.
part of it stems from the fact that I don't trust anybody.
Yeah,
like,
which
in
is a
any
good
part of life. But
smart.
So the things that we kept seeing, the reports we kept seeing were there's issues in the Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll relationship. There's a chasm. They don't get along. They're butting heads. But then Pete and Russ, publicly on the field and stuff, were super chummy the last 2 weeks. You'd see snapshots of them with their arms around each other on the sidelines, high fives after touchdowns.
Yeah.
It felt like, they're always kind of like that because Pete's Mr. Super Positivity, but it was it was more.
It seemed like it, didn't
Also, both of them repeatedly to the press said that their relationship was excellent.
Yeah.
Which you'd expect, but just
Yeah.
Well, and Russ had
In
put
a
his name on at
position.
some point during the season, hey, we might have had some issues, but we talked.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And you would expect it, but because, it's not like Aaron Rodgers acted that way with the coach that he then ran out of town. You could visibly see that on the sidelines, that he did not like anything that was going on.
Yeah. What came out today was
he looked like Aaron Rodgers.
an Ian Rappaport report that said sources say Russell Wilson wants to explore his options and see what else might be out there for him. He has not demanded a trade, and we already did touch on this, but this is where it came from, this Ian Rappaport report. It's not clear if he will demand a trade, but at least those close to Wilson say he wants to investigate other destinations and see if those would put him in a better position to win another championship and create the legacy. I get really weary of seeing that word
Yeah.
that he sees for himself. Russ has said in one of his final press conferences that he's always viewed himself as finishing in Seattle. And he wants to finish in Seattle, but he also wants to win. So I think I'm kind of in line with Andrew on this in a lot of ways because it's not the first time that we go into an off season where reports come out from sources that put Russell Wilson center stage. It's like there's an annual thing that Russ's camp
least
needs
3
to make
years.
sure that people are talking about him. And then the end result usually is nothing.
Yeah.
I'm concerned because of all of the things, like throughout last offseason was crazy. Russ said very little. People put tons of words in his mouth, took all the words that he said, twisted them up, turned it into what they wanted it to mean, and then repeated it like it was gospel.
Yeah.
And it was
Yes,
driving me
so much.
nuts.
Yeah.
But the one thing that Russ said was, I'm tired of getting hit so much. We need to be better up front. And this season, for the first time, Russ got injured, missed time, came back from the injury and wasn't himself for a little while. And the injury was a result. And it's Aaron Donald, and it's understandable.
Yeah.
But it was a result of pressure being in the backfield that got him hurt.
Yep.
And
There were also
And my favorite part about the whole people twisting him and then saying it is gospel.
Yeah.
The one that was twisted and said as gospel, which was just absolutely untrue, was the whole he owes Dwayne Brown an apology.
Yeah.
When he said that, he literally said Dwayne Brown's awesome. And like he put that caveat into what he said, and then literally all of the talking heads completely ignored that and just said, if I was Dwayne Brown, I'd be mad because he said that
called
I'm
out
bad.
the offensive
he
line.
called out the offensive line. It's like, yeah,
instead
but
of basically saying Dwayne Brown's really good and he needs help.
yeah, exactly. And it's just absolutely drove me nuts. But you're right. Then he gets hurt. It's almost like, did you say self-fulfilling prophecy?
No.
Like, because that's kind of what it felt like.
yeah.
It's also worth noting that in the offseason, the Seahawks decided not to sign a free agent center who had and I don't remember his name, but Jake.
Yeah, well, they decided not, over the last 3 years, they've decided not to sign big-name offensive linemen,
Yeah.
and instead, every time, they've just got a ton of garbage offensive linemen and been like, maybe one of these guys will
and it
stick.
hasn't been working.
And it's like, you're paying a bunch of, like, mid to low-level guys instead of using the same money and but getting one. Like, why? How do you think that... Stop repeating the same process.
Yeah.
It's the definition of insanity. I know that is a much overused quote, but when it comes up so often, you've used the same strategy to try and fill the offensive line, and it has failed countless times. And we've seen the best player come out of that strategy was probably Brandon Shell, but he can't stay on the field because he's hurt all the time. Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's completely reasonable. So I had 3 questions last week that I put out to the Twitter universe, and I really wanted to get your guys' reaction to these because if you go on Facebook or a cesspool like Twitter or something,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fans who are extremely negative about Russell Wilson. They're sick
Yeah.
of the drama. They're sick of all of the off-season stuff, and they would rather the team just move on.
Yeah.
To me, it's insane.
Yes.
But so one of the
I feel
questions
like
that
those are the people that were on Team Flynn until like a year after the fact.
one of the questions that I put out to the Twitter
No,
universe.
there's still people who thought that Flynn would have done a better job
I know,
in
which
that
is
first year.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But I feel like that. So I end up discounting those people because I feel like you don't even have a worthy of considering opinion.
But because you don't want to value the one voice, the one loud voice over the 100 quiet voices. I was like, okay, well, I'll just put a Twitter poll out there to see like what percentage of people might
On
actually
Twitter,
like it.
what percent of people on Twitter?
Yeah,
Yes.
but even on Twitter, is like there's all kinds of people who scroll through Twitter and never comment on
Yeah,
it.
no,
Yeah, but they
Probably
will.
the reasonable people.
But they will vote on a poll.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the poll I put was, do you want Russell Wilson to be the quarterback for the Seahawks next season? We got 74% yes.
Good.
I'm glad it's a lot. I wish it was more.
Yeah.
Was that a yes and no?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah, straight up yes and no. Then the other question I put up is, will Russell Wilson play for the Seattle Seahawks next season? And 63% of people said yes.
Yeah.
So there's more people that want him that think he's still going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be I'm not of the opinion that he's going to go, but I'm going to acknowledge in my mind that like that possibility's there.
Yeah, you've said a couple of different times, like, you want to prepare yourself
Emotionally.
to no longer be a Seahawks fan.
Yeah. That's
For
what-
Justin.
For
For
Justin,
Justin.
not for me. Because
Yeah.
I'm stuck with it because of my opinions that I've stated and have vehemently
You're
argued.
not a bandwagoner.
I can't. Like, at this point, I would be going back on all of my politics if I ever changed that view.
Yeah.
How about this one? Is Russell Wilson still in his prime? Because
That's an interesting question.
60% of people who responded to our Twitter poll said no. They don't think Russell Wilson's still in his prime.
What is your prime? I feel like that needs a definition before I would feel
Tom Brady still in his prime?
Yeah, that's it. Like, just because you're...
I'd say so. Tom Brady's prime is like 15 years.
But that's the thing. Like, is prime just output? Or
I think it's...
is it the combination of physical gifting as well as your, like, that prime where you still have all of your physical talents, but you're experienced enough that you can do all the mental stuff too? Because in my view of prime shrinks to like 3 to 4 years.
If you're just talking physical?
If you're just talking like absolute prime, when you're physically still at your prime while you're hitting your mental prime. Like,
yeah, okay,
and
that makes sense.
And then you lose your, like, so I wouldn't say Russell's in his prime. I would say he's still an elite quarterback. I would say, I mean, Peyton Manning wasn't in his prime for like 7 years where he was still breaking records, you know. So I guess that's why I'm wondering what the definition of prime is. Is it production prime, or is it...
That's a good point.
You have... Peyton Manning still has his strongest arm, and he's at the mental capacity to do all the stuff he did.
I think it's got to be production because every athlete adjusts their game over time to work with the tools that they have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're right. If we were talking just straight up physical prime, that he's
physical
definitely
and
past
mental,
that.
Everything together prime.
It's not just physical, though. But when you lose your physical, you still can't be in your
I would
both.
say I would say it would be based on output.
Okay.
Because to me,
then I would say yeah.
To me, when I say like prime, not prime, I'm thinking is he likely to have a better season next year than this year? Like, just generally, like, is he gonna have? Is he likely to be slightly better, or is he, can't expect him to get better? He's just gonna be a little bit worse for a few more years. To me, he's still in his prime.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he comes out next year and it's the best year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think it'd shock anyone.
Yeah.
It'd be like, he figured out whatever was bothering him, and he's like, so,
that makes sense.
Would you guys be interested in a statistical analysis of whether or not Russ is still in his prime?
I would be, but really quick on prime because I don't
Amazon does not sponsor this podcast.
No, they don't, but they could. What I'm saying is certain players, you can tie it just to their physical prime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have very much faith in Lamar Jackson. Right. I think when he loses a step, that is obviously the end of his prime.
That's a good point.
But for me, there's like that middle ground of you still have enough of your physical prime and combine that with your experience. Because, I mean, in baseball, 24, 25-year-olds obviously have better physical prime than when they're 30. And yet, for some reason, baseball prime is later because something that happens mentally with hitting takes a little time. So that's kind of where I'm that's why it's a mix of both for me.
Yeah, so I think I'd say if you're looking at like all athletes, but maybe even quarterbacks specifically, typically the way people age if they're not Tom Brady are you have kind of a peak of here's what we expect from you over the course of several years. This is your peak productivity, and then it sort of tails off. So are we at the point with Russ where we're still at peak productivity, or are we tailing off? And I think many people, especially after watching what the offense looked like for portions of this year, would say, well, Russ is definitely not as good as he used to be. I would challenge that after what I looked up when I looked up at his statistics today as I was doing a little bit of research. I've got career averages. I've got all of Russell's career bests. I've got this year's stats. I've got what I'm going to consider, quote unquote, his prime, 6 years from 2015 to 2020. Because 2015 was like the first year that he statistically burst onto the scene. It was his fourth year, and that was like his first really big, great statistical year.
Okay.
I also did something I'm calling this year adjusted. So considering the fact that he missed 3 games and that the first 2 games that he came back, he was very obviously not himself and had come back too early.
Yeah.
since we're trying to figure out like at Russell's actual healthy prime right now, can we expect him to be as good next year as he's been in previous years? So it felt reasonable to me to take those 2 games out and take the other 3 games out and then prorate it as if it was a 16-game season. I didn't add a 17th game because we're comparing to other seasons that were all 16. So I've prorated everything. So this year, adjusted, if you took out 2 games missed and 2 games that he was poopy because of the finger, Russ would have completed 67.4% of his passes for 4,150 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 5 picks. All of those are better than his career average. Several of those are very close to his career best, and especially the 5 interceptions, because 5 interceptions is his career best. But also, if you look at his prime years, if you take the 6 prime years, his adjusted numbers for this year are better on completion percentage, more passing yards, the exact same amount of touchdowns, and 4 less picks.
Wow.
So I would say if you take the Russ that we saw when he was healthy and prorate it over the course of a season, he is better than the average, which we consider Russ's prime over the last 6 years.
And that's why I'm glad that is there statistically.
Right.
And that you actually have the facts there to look at it. Because that is my thought every time I hear this, like, oh, well, it's time to trade Russell. Like, look how bad he was this year. And you're like, what? This happens. This has happened so many times where a franchise quarterback has gotten hurt and then has had, as a result, a down year. And the teams don't go, better trade that guy.
Yeah. Well, and he had a 103.1 passer rating this year.
Yeah.
And a 20, and even with those 2 terrible games, 25 touchdowns, 6 picks. I just don't, and his completion percentage at 64.8 is 0.2 percentage points lower than his career average. So I'm looking at it going, I understand when you watch some of those games, you look at it and go, God, this offense can't do anything at times.
Yeah.
But we can't forget also that in the beginning of the year, even when they weren't winning, they had the most efficient offense for like the first month and a half of the season in yards per play.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that coming up on broadcasts. So it's not like you're just used to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're used to Russ being really good and you're used to the offense looking like something better than it was. And I think people just lost track of the fact that Russ actually had a good year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd say yes, he definitively is still in his prime.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Going by the definition of prime of production.
Right. Can we expect production next year that is similar to the best years of Russ's career? And I'd say yes.
I'd say yes too. Yep, I'm absolutely with you on that. I do like this little opinion, which kind of plays into what you guys mentioned briefly a little bit, but the tweet that you sent of Paul Gallant says, man under contract with no options wants to be center of attention, part 30.
And it's kind of a meaner way of saying what Andrew was saying.
Yeah.
Russ's people want to make sure that he is discussed. Not disgusted or disgusting, just discussed.
Yeah, like talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. All right, is that enough on Andrew? Do you have anything you want to jump in on there with maybe on the Pete side of things? Because you mentioned that you still want Pete, and I think I do too.
Look,
but
I want Pete until you can tell me who will be better that you can hire. Not like, oh, it'd be cool if they could, but who out there can the Seahawks go get that'll be better than Pete? And then I think you should make that move immediately because you always want to get better.
no.
But there is no anyone who thinks, oh, there's a better coach out there is kidding themselves. Pete Carroll is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I have disagreements with the way he does things, and I do think he's become complacent.
Yeah. And I think the main thing that I've pointed this out a couple times a long time ago. I haven't got to it as much more recently. But it seems like the minor shift of philosophy to always trying to give younger players the opportunity to knock off the older players really hit a stale mark there for a while. I think it's starting to come back a little bit. And you saw that with them not re-signing KJ Wright this year. And you've seen the younger players start to have more of an opportunity. Them not bringing back David Moore, I think maybe might have done that a little bit. But there was a period in there where it was like everybody would point to all these draft picks and be like, nothing happened with this guy, with this guy, with this guy. And I was like, those guys never saw the field, like ever, even when there was people in front of them that weren't producing. And so I'm hoping that they're coming out of that a little bit now that a lot of those old Pete guys have left, that they're kind of forced to try and find new ones. So maybe that will bring some more production, but they do tend to still pay guys from the outside. I mean, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to go on, like what I would like to see changed is I would like to see Pete take control of the defense. I wouldn't mind if he didn't have a defensive coordinator, but if he wants a defensive coordinator, I think that should be his sole focus. I think he should allow the offensive coordinator and his quarterback to take over the offense and say, I trust you guys. You know how I want. I'm not going to let you do it. Don't do whatever you want. Do it in a way that you know, like in the philosophy. But I'm not going to be in the loop on the play calls. I'm stepping back out of that completely. And I think he should be calling the plays on defense.
That's a curious
really
thing.
Talented defensive mind, and our defense, the Seahawks defense, has been trash for 2 years. Until the end of the season.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So are you just assuming that he's giving Ken Norton the reins at the beginning of the year, it's trash, and then he's taking over at the end of the year? Like, what's going on there? I think
it's more complicated than that. What I think is happening is that he's working with Ken Norton, and I think he's just distracted. So, Ken Norton's doing the day-to-day. I don't think Ken Norton is very good. I don't think he's awful, but I don't think he's good enough to be doing it by himself. And so through the season, all of these things need to be changed, and it takes Pete a long time to get it changed because Pete is busy causing the Seahawks to get waste timeouts on offense instead of focusing on fixing the defense. That's my opinion.
It's a plausible hypothesis.
It's at the most plausible because obviously it's just speculation.
Because we couldn't know. But that's interesting. Because I'm sure some people would be like, Pete's trying to control the defense, and then when he finally lets Ken Norton make the decisions at the end of the year, then they get good. I don't agree with that.
I think if that were true, then Ken Norton would go somewhere else and be successful instead of never having been successful as an offensive coordinator.
I mean, defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
He's also he hasn't tried it. But.
That's true. He hasn't been successful on offense either.
Off the top of about Ken Norton, he averages around 19th in a bunch of categories, and that's according to the linebacker who's on Seattle radio, who I can't remember the name of right now, Jim Wyman. Dave Wyman.
Got it. Okay, gotcha.
So
I made a couple of mistakes while Andrew was talking.
Not just in the Seahawks. That's in the Raiders as well.
Gotcha.
One was I scrolled down on the show sheet a little bit and I read this quote from Jewel. It says wrestling scoring, something about winning in points, quote of the day. Yeah, I said that. And then almost immediately after that, my wife sent me a text that said, will you go to the store and get me some sugar before you come home? Nod into the camera if you will. Then as I was looking up and I was about to nod into the camera, I made eye contact with Daniel. And I was like, then I just started laughing because I was like, if I nod now, Daniel's going to think that it means something, and it doesn't. It's just me telling my wife, yes, I will get sugar from the store before I go home.
I was wondering because it was right when Andrew said complicated, and you looked up directly into the camera and then glanced over at me, and I was like, what did Andrew say? Was complicated not the right word there? What's going on? Did I miss some innuendo that made Justin laugh?
It took me one episode to find out a way to successfully derail the show. Congratulations to me.
All right, we're going to get into the mailbag and more from comments. If you're watching, just start blowing us up with comments in that chat feed thing. I didn't use the right words. Commercial break.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With OliPen, it's personal.
Thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Jeffrey Adamashevitz and OliPen Real Estate, the sponsor of our Athlete of the Week every week. Now it is time for
the mailbag.
Yes,
Send
the
us your
mailbag.
stuff. Send us your stuff in a mailbag.
I really missed that imaging. I'm glad I got to hear that. It makes me smile every time. So we got a couple things from Francis. First of all, Francis wants to know, do the DUI charges mean that Geno is not the Hawks QB1 going into 2022? Who is the backup option?
You know what? I think that Geno Smith.
Minshew.
Yes.
That'd be
That would
ideal.
be great. That'd be. I don't know if that'd be ideal. I want Minshew to be able to play.
Well,
Anyway,
Well, this is saying
ideally-
QB1 though. He's assuming that
yeah,
Russ is
ideally
gone.
Russ
Oh,
is here.
right. Gotcha.
He,
Well, I was
he
gonna.
follows up that
Andrew, I have some show business I need to take care of with this comment before you interrupt me again. Please. I was going to make our
Shizness.
obligatory. Sorry, real quick. I just got to get out of the way. Geno Smith proved that he, like Mariano Rivera, was very overrated as the best backup quarterback in the NFL. So, there.
Did people say that about him?
Showbiz. Yeah, I think
You know,
so.
if you could have
better
said
than
that,
better than Fitzmagic?
He was a starter.
Oh,
You got-
Fitzmagic was
I
the
thought he
starter
was
at the
always
start
a-
of the year.
I think if you had been able to say that like in flow in the rhythm of the show, it would have been really funny.
I know.
But we both
sorry.
We both messed you up.
I blame Daniel.
I was really proud of
Justin,
shizness.
I blame
though.
Justin.
Show business, shizness. I mean, come on, that's
It was
pretty
going to
good.
be so natural, and then I should have let it go until like later, but I was so frustrated and worried that I'd forget about
Well,
it.
no, I'm glad you worked it in because that's how much Mariano Rivera sucks. Most overrated player in the history of all sports. But the follow-up to Francis's question was, in case you're wondering why I'm asking, like, Mr. Limited in Carroll's offense is gone, it's because he is. If Mort's report that, according to a source, Jody Allen feels that all systems are go with Carroll Schneider and Sierra's husband, then number 3 will be available for whoever they draft to play quarterback. So
wait,
Francis has him out the door.
number 3 will be available for whoever.
No,
they
like
draft.
the actual number.
Oh, I
Because
get what
Russ
you're
will be
saying.
gone.
Ah, there. It took me a second. I don't think they would draft somebody to play quarterback, especially not this thing either.
They might late round.
They did show that outside of Russell Wilson, they're not very good at picking quarterbacks, again, because they cut Jake Luton and kept Jacob Eason. They cut somebody who had literal some NFL success and kept a guy who couldn't even make it on the team that needed a quarterback.
Oh, but Jacob Eason has that arm.
Oh, he's
though.
got that arm. Yeah, and he's terrible. He's proven it at every level. Goodness gracious. Sorry. Anyway, so that does worry me because apparently they lucked into Russell Wilson because that's the only good quarterback they've ever evaluated.
Yeah.
What the crap?
I mean, Matt Hasselbeck was good, and they kept him around
For like a year?
you're right. They
Yeah.
got rid of him a bit early.
Yeah.
So I guess
T-Jack was
to
awesome.
specifically
T-Jack
answer
meh.
to
He was-
specifically
he was
answer
awesome.
Francis's
as a backup
question,
quarterback. I thought he was a good backup.
if assuming because Francis's question assumes Russ is gone.
Yes.
If Russ is gone, Geno Smith will not be QB1.
No.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yes. Especially with
Does
the
anyone think
DUI,
he'll
yeah.
be on the team next year? I think
don't
he's a
think
free
so.
agent. I'd be shocked if they brought him back.
Yeah, I don't think Geno will be back. Especially, and this is just their excuse, probably.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he'll be back. They'll go with some other younger guy who's not expected to play at all. But if Russell was gone, yes, Gardner Minshew would be obviously who I would want to be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I have one more thing for mailbag.
Okay.
I need to tell you guys a story
Yeah, I see this here.
So in the show sheet, it just says throw burrito story.
What?
Are you throwing the burrito story, or is this a story about throwing a burrito?
Yes.
Why would you
Okay.
throw a burrito? You're supposed to eat the burrito.
So let me explain
Daniel's
it.
offended.
First of all. And now, as I'm reading it, I'm trying to remember, is the game called Throw Burrito or Throw Burrito?
Do you want me to
There's a
Google
game?
it?
Anyway, it doesn't really matter
Wait,
for the story.
there's
So we got a
Does
game.
this involve actual burritos?
Yes and no. Not edible burritos.
Okay.
This is a card game that we got as a family for Christmas.
It's called Throw Burrito.
Okay, Throw Burrito.
Yeah.
So this is a story about competitive balance. And as usual, I need you guys to be my moral compass and tell me whether I've gone too far. So we have played this family game called Throw Burrito, and it's a really fun game where it's a card game, but there's these little foam burritos.
Okay.
They're like the kind, like the squeezy kind, like memory foam kind of, so they really don't hurt.
Gotcha.
But part of the
I
game
feel
is
like you're really emphasizing that point.
part of the game is when certain things happen with the cards, certain people have to try to throw burritos at each other.
Okay.
And
It's
you
a
get
waste of food.
you get
They're fake burritos.
they're fake
it's okay.
burritos. They're foam burritos. They don't hurt.
So you're pretending
get-
to waste food.
Yes.
And
You get
this is
docked
against Andrew's
points.
religion.
You get docked points if you get hit by a burrito. Okay. So one of the scenarios is called a burrito duel, where you literally stand back to back with someone, take 3 paces, turn around and throw the burrito.
Okay.
And whoever gets hit loses. The way that the game
they're
ends,
messy.
you play it in 2 rounds. So when someone wins the first round and another person wins the second round, the way you determine the winner of the game is with a duel.
Yeah, okay.
So I end
Burrito
up
duel.
I like it.
I end up in a duel to win the game with my 12-year-old son.
Okay.
Now, the duel is like when you take your 3 paces and you turn, you don't have to just throw. It's like a free-for-all. You know, you can do whatever. You can run, dodge, duck, dip, dive, dodge, whatever.
Okay.
And you can also try to catch the other person's burrito, and if you catch it, then you win.
Okay.
Dodgeball
Dodgeball.
rules,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. You can use anything you want as a shield. At one point, I tried to pick up the puppy to use it as a shield. Didn't work.
You could also go Hamilton and just
Yeah.
throw it up into the tree.
Well, and when my daughter had her turn, she hid behind my wife and
Smart.
used her as a human shield.
Smart.
But I ended up in a duel with my 12-year-old son.
Okay.
So we take our 3 paces, we turn around, I throw first.
Okay.
I miss.
Yes.
Okay, so my burrito's all the way on the other side of the room. Then I go into full-on, like, run away, try to dodge his throw thing.
Yeah. Is this inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he comes up on me, and I'm totally trapped in a corner, and he throws it, and like Neo from the Matrix, I whoosh, like off to the side. His burrito misses me.
Nice.
My burrito is still like way over in the other corner, so he can't get to it.
Yeah.
So at this point, I have a huge advantage because I have access to this burrito that he just missed me with. He realizes that quickly, and he takes off.
Smart. Smart.
He's
kid.
wearing socks.
Okay.
We have hard floors.
Okay. So he takes off like a cartoon character.
Yes.
Where like his feet start spinning.
As he's trying to turn, slips, smashes his toe into a shelf.
Oh.
Now, I have to add for effect that this is a toe that he broke like a month and a half ago. So it's all healed, like everything's fine, he's all healed, but he's in pain. Not crying.
A month ago, it's not all healed.
Not like crying with tears, but on the ground like, oh. I'm standing there with the burrito, and I'm like, I don't think it's right, and I'm standing over the top of him, and I'm like, I don't think it's right for me to throw this at you, but I can't not win. So when he was turned, I just dropped the burrito, hit him, it lands on the ground, and then at that point, I'm like, okay, I've won the game. Mac, are you okay? Have I done anything wrong?
Johanna, my wife, says that you have gone too far.
No.
There's 2 ways of looking at this.
Okay.
Are there 2 ways of looking at it?
There's 2 ways of looking at this. So in softball, somebody gets hurt on the play, right? You hit a ball, it hits them. I don't know if they're the pitcher. I don't know if it's just a bad hop. I don't know what it is. Do you go touch first? Or do you make sure they're okay?
No, you touch first and then you make sure they're okay.
So that is what you did.
I feel like it depends on the
You
situation.
dropped the burrito on him, and then you made sure they're okay.
If they caught the ball, then you don't need to go touch.
No,
first.
obviously if they caught the ball. Right. Yes. Obviously. Now we get to severity of situation.
Okay.
Because I have done both. I have gone and touched first, made sure everybody's okay. Another time, in a much less competitive league, which I might compare to throw burrito.
Okay.
Sounds like it
so
gets pretty competitive.
Super
does sound-
intensely competitive
yes.
then? Okay.
But this was in a church league game. This also ups the stakes of injury. You knew your son was physically going to be okay. His toe, at worst, was broken. Right? That's at worst.
Right.
In this church league softball game, I hit a line drive right back at the pitcher. I have no excuse for this. I should not have done that. I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm a better player. Even at this point, this was years ago, but even at this point, I was a good enough player to not risk hitting the pitcher. I drilled him right in the belly button with a line drive. He had no shot of getting out of the way, just bam. I did not go to touch first. I went over and made sure that he was not dead.
Did he tag you out?
I don't know.
You went out of the base path.
Yeah, I went out of the base path. I was giving myself up.
Yeah.
Now, the situation was more severe, even though he turned out to be okay too, than your son's broken toe. But also, was the game on the line? No, my team could still win the game with me getting out.
Yeah. See, my thought too was that because all these things
church
like
league, you generally, at least those of us that like in our group that have played a lot of church league and a lot of city league. With church league, we've been more focused on having fun. So
That's
you
true.
Probably were not particularly worried about that.
About winning.
You're far
Yeah.
more worried about not hurting somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
But as
Yeah.
all these thoughts were going through my mind, I was thinking, because it happens fast, like I'm standing over him, he's lying on the ground, writhing in pain, and I'm like, I really should throw it at him. Because what if I drop it and he's like, just kidding, and then he catches it? Then I lose. So I should have thrown it at him, but I didn't. I took the kinder path of just dropping it on him, taking the
took a risk.
chance that he would catch it.
Yeah, you took a risk.
Yeah.
And I could see
And I won.
I could see your 12-year-old son pulling that move.
could
Even if he
see-
was in pain.
I was going to say, I could just see him recognizing that if he would have had his eyes open.
Yeah. I think your 12-year-old might... that was a risk that you took, because even with him being in pain, there was that chance that he could have like toughed it out, caught the burrito,
Right.
hit you with it.
Yeah.
So
No, if he catches it, I lose.
oh right, he doesn't even have to hit you with
Nope.
it. Yeah. So I'm
What
proud
happens
of
if
you.
the burrito stays on him when you drop it on the floor? That's
I
counts
made
as a
sure
catch,
that
right?
it hit him in a spot where it was. I hit him because he was kind of like rolling on his side a little bit. So I made sure that it hit him in a spot where it would bounce off to the side.
Now, I'm proud of you for not just drilling him with the burrito, because growing up, my brother would have definitely winged that burrito at me and then checked on me. Sorry to impugn your honor, Jimmy, but you totally would have done that. The next question I have is, did your wife think you had gone too far? And was she standing over him, checking on him while you did this?
It all happened so fast. I kind of got scolded, like a little bit, but it wasn't. He was fine.
How
and
upset was McConaughey?
he was mostly just upset because his toe hurt.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he didn't get mad at me for winning, but I think
Did you make sure not to rub it in?
no. No. I made sure they all knew I was the winner. Actually, it was after that was all over, I was like, you guys saw that, right? Like, you didn't get distracted by the fact that he's in pain. You saw that the burrito hit him, right? So I made sure everyone knew that I won.
See, I am much more okay with this story because when you started telling it, I thought you were going to be talking about like your, 6-year-old daughter? 7-year-old daughter?
Yeah.
And so I was all ready to be just mortified at what you had done. But since it's your 12-year-old son, and knowing your 12-year-old son, I'm much more okay with this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I came out of this.
My wife is pointing out that Daniel likes to hit people in church softball.
Dang it, I knew that she was watching, and when I said that story, I knew she was going to bring that up.
Did you hit Andrew's wife in church league
I
softball?
darn near killed her
Wow.
with a throw.
Oh my.
Nah,
Yeah.
she's fine.
Well, she didn't even fall down, and it wasn't her fault.
She only has headaches every now and then.
Oh my gosh. The thing is that wouldn't surprise me. That was one of the most terrifying days of my life.
Daniel, apparently my daughter Allison is watching, and she's very offended that you thought she was only 6.
I'm sorry, Allison.
Daniel's
I'm
really
sorry.
old.
It's just been so long since I've seen you. That's what it is. It's been so long. I haven't seen you since last year. That's what it is.
True.
It was last year.
A whole 2 weeks.
Shut up, Andrew. All right. I think that's going to do it for our show today.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good story, though.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, for my co-host, Justin, bring home the sugar, Damashevitz.
And my co-host, Daniel, Rudy Hargrove.
And our trusty producer, Andrew, ew, gross. Was that the sound he made? I wrote it down, and I was thinking...
It was like...
No, it was
like,
ew.
Ew. That's what it was. Ew. Andrew, ew, gross. You're listening to the scrimmage.
Microphone.
Microphone.
I'm Batman.